This is a tour against the Trump administration's attack on New York City voters. But I continue to say that if Donald Trump wants to pick up the phone and say that he wants to deliver on the cheaper groceries that he ran on, I'm willing to work with him on that. It just can never be a partnership at the expense of the people of the city.
New York City mayoral candidate who's winning by about 20 points in the latest Siena poll, Zohran Mamdani, says he's willing to work with President Trump despite promising to be President Trump's worst nightmare. So what would this mean for wealthy New Yorkers besides your taxes going up? Let's bring in World Liberty Financial co-founders Eric Trump, Donald Trump Jr., and Zack Witkoff. Welcome, guys. Thanks so much for being here.
So much to be here.
I hate to drag you into politics, but it is New York politics.
I'm shocked that we're going here.
Right, but Eric, your thoughts about the rise of the socialist who does not like capitalism or billionaires?
Well, that's what's scary to me, right? I grew up in New York. My father's name is on every building in New York. I mean, this is a building, this is a city. These are the markets. This is New York Stock Exchange. This is the NASDAQ, right? I mean, this is the epitome of capitalism around the world. And the guy's coming out and actively saying that he wants to shut down capitalism. I mean, it's the antithesis of what New York City is. The guy is holy, holy scary, and I think it's a disastrous thing for this state, which has already had an exodus of people out of it.
And Don Jr., when you talk about people that got to make financial decisions, well, the rich don't care, the successful don't care, but take a look, they do move when they're being pushed. For example, the proposal is a 2% tax of income over the year. The top city rate is 5.9%, so add on to that. The city and state, 16.8%. Federal, state, and city rate, 53.8%. So basically, if you're seeing these numbers, private company or public, what are you going to do?
You're going to move to Florida. You're going to move to Texas. You're going to move somewhere else. The reality is no one wants to pay that much. And the reality that's really sad for actual New Yorkers and middle-class New Yorkers is that the wealthiest people, they can move very easily. They can work from wherever wherever they want.
Especially
They've
since
seen
the
that.
pandemic.
Ever since the pandemic, people realize they don't have to be in an office. They don't have to do these kinds of things. They will move. They are the vast majority of the tax base that funds all of these subsidy programs in New York City. Anyway, you lose 10, 15,000 of those ultra-high net worth individuals. This city is in serious trouble, and no amount of free stuff being promised is going to actually help it. It's a shame, but I think he's going to be great, Mamdani. If he wins, he's going to be great for the rest of the country in the future, because New York City's going to go through some really hard times, and people are going to stop playing with this ridiculous experiment of communism and socialism that has not worked anywhere else in the world.
To think about it, too, it's propping up in Minneapolis. You got a socialist there and one over in Seattle. Zach, do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I think the boys said it really well, you know.
Right. So that's why people will make that decision. We'll see what happens. It's hard to imagine them losing with this type of lead. Something else stood out. We thought it was perfect timing you were here. Among the people that noticed Trump 2 or Trump 47 is running on all cylinders is a New York Times reporter. So we clipped it. I wanted you to get your response to how you think it's going, the fact that he said this. Tyler Page.
He's way more effective at accomplishing his agenda with having that time out of office, because a lot of his aides, Russ Vought, those sorts of officials spent their time out of government planning for this term. And so what they've done is an onslaught of executive orders in the first 6 months that accomplished a lot of their goals very quickly because he knew what they wanted to do.
Eric, is he right?
He's right.
I can't believe I'm actually hearing this.
Where are we? Right, my father's throwing so much lead in the air that they literally don't know how to counter program. It's amazing. And listen, while I think we won in 2020, I think the greatest thing ever was having those 4 years off. We have the Senate, we have the House, we have a 6-3 majority in the Supreme Court. My father has a cabinet that's unparalleled. And what they're doing every single day. I mean, he's making America proud. He's making transformational change to this country, and this is exactly what we need. Look at our economy right now. Look at the jobs force. Look at the tariffs. Look at how much money's coming back. Look at inflation. I mean, our markets, in the last 6 months, they have done a 180. I mean, we were going into a really, really deep place. My father has single-handedly saved this country. Now you watch what he's doing in Washington, D.C. It's a beautiful thing. He's cleaning up the streets. He's getting away with the homelessness. He's doing a great job.
It's also amazing to see he now has a cabinet that is in line with him, right? In the first term, you had people that were coming in, they're kicking the can down. Okay, we're going to wait Trump out. This time, we had 4 years of hell that we went through. We found out who the people were that were actually fighters, people who believed in the America First movement. He brought them all on. So now that you have a cabinet that's actually aligned with the president, not trying to subvert him, you can see what's being done. And what's really great now, for the first time in probably history, the Republicans actually have a great bench for the future. Before it was Trump, and what do you have after Trump? There's no one there. We found out who those people were, who those fighters were in that 4 years, and we needed to go through that hell like addiction, right? You have to hit rock bottom to be able to rise up again.
Yeah.
We hit rock bottom as a country. We know the people who are on our team. They are fighting together as one engine, and the results are incredible.
Zach, your dad's very much part of this.
Yeah, I mean, I know he's super proud to serve the American people and the president, and you know, he's doing what he can.
What's it like for you to see your dad on the inside and you're on the outside with the guys?
You know, Eric and Don are the two greatest business partners I could ask for. You know, we run a stablecoin infrastructure company called World Liberty Financial. We have the world's fastest growing stablecoin, USD1. We just did this incredible deal yesterday with ALTS, the Alt 5 Sigma Corporation, to acquire $1.5 billion of our token. The stock's currently trading under net asset value by a pretty significant margin, so we're quite excited about the future of the stock. But yeah, you know, just really proud of my dad, and he's clearly part of the greatest administration, not just of the past few decades, but of all time.
So, Don, what's going to be happening today? You're going to be ringing the bell?
Well, we're going to be ringing the bell at the NASDAQ talking about all five, but the biggest thing is we got into crypto because we didn't have a choice, right? We were debanked by every major banking institution. The people that 2 weeks before we were debanked, we could have called and gotten a loan in 5 seconds, they disappeared. We were left high and dry.
When
so we
was
weren't even, this is basically during the first term, certainly after, you know, let's call it January 6th, all the nonsense, it got significantly worse. So we weren't even early crypto guys, but we figured out if they can debank the Trump organization, if they can debank us, who can't they go after? And more importantly, who won't they go after? And so we had to, rather than take our ball home and go cry in a corner, we had to come up with solutions. And the reality is between crypto technology, blockchain technology, so much of what the traditional banking system was made up of didn't make any sense. It's grossly inefficient. It takes forever.
Right.
It's not democratized at all. If you know someone, you can make, we were at the top of a Ponzi scheme. We just didn't even know it. For regular people, it didn't make any sense. So we partnered up with Zack and so many of the greatest guys in the space to really get people to understand what crypto is. And to me, it is absolutely the future of banking. So what we're doing with World Liberty Financial, I think is going to shake up the entire banking system. It is literally the future of finance.
And I know it's going to be exciting for you today in about an hour. But, Eric, I want to bring you to this, and all of you. Critics are saying, hey, well, maybe you shouldn't be doing this. The New Yorker, for example, says the number. How much is Trump pocketing off the presidency? Axios. President Trump and his family stand to net $3.4 billion by the end of the second term. David Kirkpatrick reports for the New Yorker in a piece today the number, why it matters. No U.S. president has monetized the highest off in the land quite like this. Eric, your answer to those headlines.
Brian, it's infuriating. We had nowhere to go. Capital One stripped 300 bank accounts from me, 300 in the middle of the night. They sent us a letter after doing business for 20-something years. All your bank accounts for golf courses and condominium buildings and hotels, they're all gone in the middle of the night. I mean, how do you pay your taxes? How do you pay your employees? This happened across the board. It happened with J.P. Morgan Chase. It happened with Bank of America. It happened with First Republic. And this wasn't just happening to the Trumps, people with a lot of zeros on the end. This was happening to conservatives all over the country. We didn't have a damn choice. So before my father, won the election, before my father was in office, we started getting into cryptocurrency. The people in cryptocurrency were being debanked just like Trump was being debanked.
Right.
And you know what? It's become the fastest growing industry anywhere in the world. It's actually removed a lot of the power from the big banks who have weaponized their platforms against the American people, and I could not be more proud to be.
I don't notice them talking about the hundreds of millions of dollars we had to spend fighting lawfare. That doesn't matter, right? That was all nonsense, right? Russia, you name it. Impeachment 1, hoax 2, 3, 4, 5, infinity. No one talks about that. They weaponized the entire full force of the United States government against our family. And unlike all the other people who'd served as the presidency before, basically since our founding fathers, Trump was the only guy that was actually a businessman before that. Are we supposed to stop running our businesses? Are we supposed to stop doing anything? He's not involved in these things. We are running those businesses as we have. We came up with a solution to a very real problem that not just us, we didn't just have to face it. Hundreds of millions of Americans either face it or are afraid that they're going to face those kind of problems because they don't just simply conform and fall into line with whatever the talking points are or whatever the liberal agenda is that day.
And that's what we're doing with ALTS and World Liberty is we're really trying to democratize the financial system, put power back in the hands of the people instead of, the big boogeyman behind the curtain.
Since I knew you guys before your dad was running, Well, I remember talking to you early when your dad was running. I thought, Eric, are you going to do something? Because Jared went in, Ivanka went in, Don, you say, no, I don't think so. So you've kept a wall up there. But what do you think about people who say, well, Dad, your dad hires David Sachs, and they loosen up cryptocurrency rules and set up parallels, and then you guys are in that space?
Crypto is the fastest growing industry worldwide by far, bar none. Everybody in the world, if you look at the Middle East, if you look at all of Asia, if you look at all of South America, they're all running toward cryptocurrency. I mean, we have a financial system, Brian, that's broken. If you want to send a wire at 4:59 on a Friday afternoon, somebody's not going to get it until midday Monday. How is our banking system, 9 to 5 Monday through Friday doesn't make any sense whatsoever. If you want to go get a loan, you want to go buy a house, the bank that you've banked with for 25 years will take 120 days to go through a know your customer report to give you your own money, to be able to borrow against your own. Our banking system is broken, and then that same banking system has gone after 50% of the Americans because they decided to wear a hat that says Make America Great Again. We have to change the financial system. We will change the financial system. World Liberty is going to change the financial system. And honestly, I could not be more proud. And we started this company long before my father was elected, long before he won the election, certainly long before he actually got into politics again. We started this when the New York Times, ironically, was giving him about a 2% chance of re-winning the election as they were throwing the kitchen sink at him.
And we campaigned on it. I mean, we said we were going to do this. I mean, we said we were going to do this because, again, the fear of the American public that they were going to be debanked, that they weren't going to be able to get their credit card payment processed because they're buying a gun. The Second Amendment's kind of a big deal. That was a very real fear. We campaigned that we were going to do these things, that we were going to change these systems, that we were going to try to democratize finance. It's not like we're doing this after the fact. When they said we had zero chance of doing this, we were still already working on this project because it had to get done one way or the other.
Letitia James thought she'd be dividing up the Trump empire a year ago, less than a year, and look at how things have dramatically changed, guys. Resilience, your family stuck together through all of it. And, Zach, you are an honorary member of the family, I think.
100%.
Yeah. So there you go.
Lucky
And your dad was there when the second assassination attempt, he was golfing with the president, so they certainly know the risk. Guys, great to see you. Thanks for making the announcement on our couch. And don't be too nervous when you ring the bell today.
Thanks, Ryan. We're really looking forward to it.
Thanks so much, Don Jr., Eric, and Zach. Great to see you. Meanwhile,
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.